Morning guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to the start of the marathon taper. Now I'm coming up to 2 weeks out now from marathon race day. Today is the 16th of November, I think, maybe the 17th. Race day is the 1st of December. And what I want to talk about today, two things. Firstly, my sort of own marathon predictions, how I think I'm going to do. And then secondly, how I deal with those taper week nerves and niggles and doubts. So, marathon predictions. Now my chorus has been updating my fitness regularly, and right now it's predicting what I would say is a realistic 3:32. Sometimes it can be way off and I'm not quite sure how it gets those numbers, but this for me is, I think, achievable, and in all honesty I would come out of that feeling quite satisfied. So if we break it down into three kind of goals, an A goal, a B goal and a C goal, I think with that predicted time of 3 hours 32 and some of my more recent training runs like last week's 30k, I think a realistic A goal would be to go sub 3:30 again. A B goal I think would be anything between 3:30 and 3:45, and then C goal, not C goal, would be to finish, because we need to respect the distance. But what I really wanted from this marathon race was just a bit of an outcome, because I have been, in my feelings, drifting a bit with my training. I haven't had loads of focus and structure, and so this was always there just to sort of keep me a bit more in line. So that's marathon predictions. On to taper time. Now I'm sure, like most of you, when the taper comes, you got a couple of mixed feelings really. One is relief, because you're sort of like, okay, the hard work's done, I haven't got injured, I haven't got ill, you know, the fitness is there, brilliant, I can now relax and cruise towards race week. But then the other feeling is that sense of, have I done enough? I'm not going to be good enough, I probably won't be able to achieve my targets. You know, that sort of imposter syndrome that really kicks in. And I think both feelings are natural, and they can have some positive outcomes, but if you let them become too dominant, then it can become a bit negative. So how do we control it? What I do over these next 2 weeks will be a couple of things. Firstly, I'm making sure I'm really focusing on just staying as normal as possible, trying to keep my sleep as normal as possible, trying to stay on top of my diet and not over consuming, which I think, I really remember that from my triathlon days, that you'd hit the taper and then the diet would just go to rubbish. It was weird, I don't know why, because if anything it's the opposite really. Like, this is the point where you should be even more conscious of what you're eating and drinking, because you're not expending as many calories because your training volume is decreasing. So I'll keep a really careful eye on my diet and my hydration, and just try and keep it as close to normal as possible. And then thirdly, just a bit of self-care. So massage, salt baths if that's your sort of thing, ice baths if that's your sort of thing. I'm really conscious, particularly as the weather's getting colder, that when I get home from my runs, I get out of my kind of sweaty wet clothes as quickly as possible and get dry clothes on. And I remember seeing this in a Stephen Scullion video about how he kind of manages illness and injury, and I never really thought about it, but particularly with our busy lives, you know, you get in and you kind of switch into dad mode or work mode or whatever it is, But yeah, just taking a few moments just to shed at least the top layer, get something warm and dry on, so you're not walking around in wet clothes for longer than you have to. And the next part of what I do is just to do a little bit of a check through my training, and this will be for two reasons. Firstly, just to kind of give me the confidence that, you know, I have done some good training. I can look back through the runs that were successful, not just in this block, but in previous blocks as well. You know, our fitness isn't won and lost in an 8-week block. It's stuff that we build on over time. So I'll look back over the last 3 to 6 months now and just check off kind of those good training weeks or training months. And I'll also look back through my previous marathons and those training blocks, and I'll use that as a little bit of a comparison. You know, what kind of paces was I running leading up to my marathon PB, for example? What were those heart rates? What was the weekly volume? How does that compare? You know, that just gives me a bit of an indicator of what kind of shape I'm in, so that I can at least go in with realistic expectations of where I'm at. And finally, I try and control my negative thoughts, like the ones I'm having on today's run, for example. It's not going to plan. I'm really struggling today, and so, you know, that puts those little doubts in your head, doesn't it? Am I actually capable? Was last weekend's perfect long run a complete fluke? You know, I'm dragging my feet today, barely 5:30 kilometer pace, but it's just today. Try not to put too much pressure on it, and ultimately try and enjoy it. It doesn't always go to plan. It's not worth getting overly upset over. There's always another race, and what I always do is have the next one booked in, and so that just kind of allows me to put that race into a box and know that there's always something else coming up too. So there we go. I'm going to try and finish off this absolutely rubbish run. I've got about another 7k to plod through, and we'll leave it there. Next week, hopefully do a bit more of a detailed pacing, nutrition, kit breakdown, you know, all that sort of stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to the new people that have come on board over the past couple of weeks. We are slowly but steadily growing, and I'll see you in a new video very soon.